Tim Muriello here, and welcome to the official 2017 Mr. Olympia recap and review. Now, if you don't know me or have never seen my Mr. Olympia video, shame on you, man. I've been doing these videos for years. Now, as a bodybuilder of 20 bodybuilding shows and as a current bodybuilding judge, what I want to do is I'm going to drill down on these physiques. I'm going to let you know where they placed, and I want to make a good emphasis on Big Ramy versus the reigning Mr. Olympia, Phil Heath. Now, this 2017 Mr. Olympia lineup was freaking weird. There was a lot of spots missing. There was a lot of people gone. You had no Kai Green again, which freaking sucks, because literally next to now Big Ramy, and we're gonna get into that, okay? Next to Big Ramy, Kai Green was really the only person that could give Phil Heath a true run for his money. No Dallas McCarver, God rest his soul. No Akeem Williams. No Dennis Wolf. I miss seeing Dennis Wolf up there. No Justin Compton. And so, having said that, with these pieces missing, there was a lot of placings up for grabs. Now, of course, the greatest controversy we had at the Mr. Olympia year was who was going to topple Phil Heath, and was that person Big Ramy? The man has made many improvements over the year. He's smart, he's playing Phil's game. What happened this year? We are going to get into that. And of course, another big controversy, everyone's talking about it, is Phil Heath's stomach. Yeah, it's unfortunately, that is a subject right now because, well, Phil Heath did come out with a pretty distended stomach, probably more distended than previous years. It was one of, not the most, but one of the most distended stomachs in the Mr. Olympia lineup. And the controversy was, a lot of people are saying, listen, there's no way he should have won and lost to Big Ramy with a distended stomach like that. So let's dive in, let's get into the placings. Now, before I get into the placings, real quick, I want to thank rxmuscle.com and team-andro.com for the pictures. Dude, they got these pictures up and loaded on their websites ASAP. So what I try to do with this video is pick the best picture from each site to give you guys the best perspective and the best insight on exactly how their physique was laid out. All right, let's get into the placings now with a shocker. Tied for 16th place with Jeff Beckham, former Mr. Universe winner, Team Universe winner, and Michael Lockett. Tied for 16th place, shocker, was Victor Martinez, which I am floored, man. He came, that was a super hard hit for Victor Martinez. 15th place, you had Gerald Williams. 14th place, you had Johnny Jackson. 13th place, you had Max Charles. 12th place, you had Lucas Osladil. 11th place, Lionel Biecki. Now guys, we are going to enter the top 10 lineup for the 2017 Mr. Olympia. I'm actually going to take you to my computer and do an awesome commentary and editorial on these physiques leading up to the Big Ramy and Phil Heath comparisons. Now, before we get into the top 10, let me explain something to you. These are the top 10 best open bodybuilding, okay, not 212 and under, okay, open bodybuilding physiques in the entire planet. These physiques these days are not what they used to be. You're going to see basically mass monsters. You're gonna see guts, you're gonna see distended stomach, wide blocky abs, a lack of balance, a lack of proportion. You're not gonna see a lot of striations. You're not even gonna see the most aesthetic and balanced and classy physiques on this lineup. But the big thing is here, as a bodybuilding judge, and as those judges for Mr. Olympia, they are going to use a process of elimination as they start placing these guys. And the slightest, hear me out, the slightest flaw could put you in a different placing compared to somebody else. All right, guys, let's go to the computer. Let's dive into these pictures and really see why these athletes placed where they did. Okay, guys, with 10th place here, Cedric McMillan. Now, from this picture, you're probably thinking, what is wrong with this physique? There's nothing wrong with it. Well, here's the thing, man. You know, this is kind of a shame because, you know, I thought Cedric would probably be at least in the top 5 in this Mr. Olympia contest. I mean, even though he's tall, he's had a lot of disproportions, if that's a word, a lack of proportion in a lot of ways because some body parts were bigger than the others. They didn't match up. He had some weaknesses. This year, even with the height, he brought a lot of his weaknesses up. He's very proportioned. He's got a very classy physique. He's got symmetry, aesthetics, balance. I mean, really just definitely a top-level Mr. Olympia physique. Truly, sadly, that this year, I can tell you may not be able to, but he is smoothed over. And that's what happens a lot of times with these pros, man. They'll eat so many carbs, so many carbs, so many carbs, and the balance between water and carbohydrates holding in your muscles isn't always perfect, and a lot of times those carbs spill over, and that's what happens. Look at his chest, man. You can tell his chest is soft. Look at all the water that he's holding in his midsection. Legs, they look great. He's got teardrops. He's got outer quad sweep. He looks great, but just not dry enough, not hard enough, not grainy enough. Now, in your eyes, you may say, man, he looks grainy enough to me. He looks freaking perfect. Wait till we get to 9th place, 8th place, and go up the chain to 1st place. You're going to see why he got 10th place. So let's hit another pose here for Cedric and see what we're working with. He's going to have a hard time filling them legs out, and his legs never matched his upper body. You can see here, man, he put in some work, bro. He put in some work. His legs look great. I mean, the size, great distinction in his legs entirely from the front and the back. They match up so much better this year. But, man, you can just tell kind of in his triceps, his arms, his chest, his abs. He's just smooth. He's not dry. He's not dialed in like he should be. All right, taking a look here at his ab shot. Man, he's got the V-taper. He's got his waist in control. Great everything. But, man, the abs, you can just tell they just were too watery to put him in any higher placing. All right, let's turn Cedric around for a rear double bicep shot. Golly, bro, it's hard to make a critique here, man, because he's just got a perfectly balanced physique. I mean, he's got calves, he's got hammies, he's got quads, his back, even his lower back looks a little dialed in and tight to me. You know what I mean? Usually a lot of these guys have a hard time holding so much water around their erectors. Looks like he's got some shape there. He's got a great physique here, great shot here, but again, just not hard enough, grainy enough, and dry enough. All right, guys, in 9th place, again, we got Josh Lenardowitz. Man, I want to say it again, you know, with his roommate, training partner, one of his best friends, Dallas McCarver, passing away. You know, that had to have been hard, man. Had to have been hard to focus and, you know, kind of hide a little bit of those emotions so you can continue with the biggest show of your life, the Mr. Olympia. Here you can see, man, why he beat Cedric and the big difference between Cedric and a 9th place finisher here, Josh. He's dry. Look at the veins. Look at the hardness. Look at the separation. Look at the sharpness. Look at the detail. He's just more dialed in and conditioned than Cedric. Now, I will say, he's got a complete package. Obviously, his legs match his upper body. Now, his legs do look a little watery to me. Is it just me? Nevertheless, vascular, just a complete package. This dude is a freaking monster. When he won the Tampa Pro, holy crap, bro. Like, just an absolute freak. This was a great placing for Josh with 9th place. All right, we got a front double bicep here for Josh. You know, just good muscle bellies here, good peak on his bicep, good separation. You know, he's kept his waist very tapered for that size. I feel like for his upper body, his legs could be a bit bigger and, of course, a little bit more dry, but great pose for him. Flows very good, decent calves. You know, this is a guy that pretty new to the Mr. Olympia stage, and as the years go on, if he can bring a bigger package with the same conditioning, he's going to be a major threat. Definitely to the top 10 and hopefully for the top 5. All right, turning Josh around for a rear double bicep, man. Again, here, hard to call out any weaknesses whatsoever. I mean, glutes aren't as dry, you know, for whatever that's worth. You know, lower back isn't as dry, but really, man, you don't see any imbalances. I mean, everything looks good, man. The lats, the teres, major, minor, traps, rhomboids, delts, everything looks really, really good on his physique, man. I mean, it's not to carry that much muscle and to have a physique like this, to have a pose like this, it's hard to do, man. He's been able to pull it off. And this is definitely a Mr. Olympia rear double bicep. One last pose for Josh Lenarowitz here. Rear lat spread. You know, a lot of guys, man, with this size, I mean, he is a mass monster. There's guys that are obviously bigger than him, but he's still freaking humongous. And a lot of guys at that size, man, they got an ugly rear lat spread. And that's, you know, you see him from the front, you're like, damn, boy, this dude's got the best physique. You turn him around, you're like, oh, never mind. I can see why he got that placing, but here, man, he's wide. He's got a V-taper. His traps flow right into his rhomboids. You know, he's got that Christmas tree back there. A really, really good pose for Josh. 8th place, we have Mr. Brandon Curry. I tell you what, man, you want to talk about one of the most classiest physiques in all of Mr. Olympia? That is Brandon Curry, man. The big thing with Brandon is so freaking inconsistent. You know what I mean? One year he's not conditioned. Next year he's conditioned. The year after that he's bloated. Year after that he looks good. Like, man, I mean, this was a great showing. Look at this man's physique, bro. Some of the best freaking arms in Mr. Olympia. Great waist, great shape. Muscle belly's full, round. He's just got one big glaring weakness, and it's his legs. I mean, look, take a look. Don't take my word for it, okay? Look at his legs, bro. Look at the teardrop. Look at his sweep. Just not Mr. Olympia legs, and they don't really match his upper body. But this year, he came in big. He came in full. He came in diced granite, hard, vascular. Dude, freaking, this is one of the best showings by Brandon Curry. But golly, bro, just these legs, man. I want to see Brandon Curry do good, man. I wish he would bring these legs up to where they need to go. Deep separation, the sweep. If he had legs, literally, this dude would be, and he was consistent, this dude would be in the top 3 in the Mr. Olympia. Now, check out this side chest by Brandon Curry. Man, I picked this pose for a reason because it really shows such great muscle distinction. The way his delts separate so much, the delt caps separate from his arms. You can tell with his chest how freaking dry he is. He's just freaking crisp, dry as heck. I mean, grainy, bro. You just got that grainy look to him. He's wide. He's thick. Perfect shot for Brandon Curry, truly. He's got a great glute hamstring tie-in. Good definition there. Decent calves. Of course, you know, them calves could come up. Really, to be honest with you, with this Mr. Olympia show, you're not going to see a ton of Mr. Olympia competitors with freaking just dynamite, awesome calves. I mean, no one's really had bomb calves since Dorian Yates, who literally wrote the book on perfect freaking calves. Got a front double bicep here for 8th place Brandon Curry. Now, man, this kind of disappoints me because here's the thing, man. I want you guys to listen to me. As we go up the chain here, these guys are trying to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it seems like freaking as the physiques grow, the bellies grow. And I guess that's what it takes, man, to get bigger and bigger. You have to do things, whatever that may be, that causes your stomach to get bigger. And, man, this is kind of a shame because he looks bigger. He's got a great Mr. Olympia physique. But, man, you can see for one of the first times I've seen with Brandon Curry, his belly is starting to pop out. Now, probably the best shot for his leg. Got some good separation here between inner thigh all the way out to the outer sweep. You can see here sharp upper body minus this ab shot crap that freaking sucks. But nevertheless, man, he brought his A-game best package for Brandon Curry thus far. Last pose here for Brandon Curry, rear double bicep. Now you can see here glaring, he's got small calves. They're not really even peaked or diamond shaped. You know, you can tell he brought the conditioning though. Look at his glutes, look at his hamstrings. But man, his legs they just are not big enough, man. And listen, 8th place is a phenomenal freaking position in Mr. Olympia, but dude, they're not big enough to take down the big boys. Now his back, the way his back is shaped, with the V-taper, the small waist, I mean, just in comparison to the width, dude, freaking no, there's no weakness. Dude, his arms are perfect. Rhomboids, great separation between traps and rhomboids, lats. Just a really, really good Mr. Olympia level and quality rear double bicep. Hopefully next year this man can bring some legs in and break into the top 5. 7th place, Nathan DeAsha. What a freak, bro. I mean, when you see this picture, like, you're like, holy crap. I mean, what a freaking big freaking dude. And you can you see the big difference between Brandon Curry's legs and this dude's legs? This dude has Mr. Olympia. I'm talking first place legs in the dang show. They remind me of Dennis Wolf. Crazy distinction between muscle groups, wide thigh sweep, quad sweep, outer sweep. Look at just the separation, man. You can see every dang little separate muscle group on his dang legs, all the way from the abductors, adductors. Arms are insane, bro. They're just like watermelon, freaking grapefruit size, if not bigger. Dang biceps, just round biceps, huge arms. He's got a super long torso, which is good because it's going to lend to a V-taper. Sometimes it's kind of hard when you do a rear lat spread. A lot of your back poses, when you have high lats like that, they just don't look as good. You got to do a lot of different exercises to kind of bring those lats down, to drape them down. But dang, boy, this dude has got some freaking muscle on him. Look at his forearms. I mean, they're just ridiculous. Now, if I was to say anything about this pose right here, this most muscular, you know, obviously, again, the legs look good. Calves are nothing in particularly great. You know, his abs are definitely wide. You know, he's got very wide abs. Here's the thing, man. As these guys get bigger and bigger, you know, and they're doing really heavy squats and really heavy deadlifts, unfortunately, man, it just puts so much muscle and just squareness on your obliques, and you just get those really wide, non-tapered abs. You know, I feel like his delts could be a little bit bigger. It looks like one delt's bigger than the other. I don't know if that's just the angle, but definitely looks like an imbalance there. You know, it could probably be a little drier in the chest, shoulder area. Traps could be a little bit bigger, but I mean, really just a big freaking physique, bro. Just a well-deserved placing for him. As we turn Nathan around here, we can begin to see some flaws, okay? Now, he's definitely conditioned. I mean, he's got great muscle bellies. You know, it's just, I mean, let's just be honest from my critique, not a really pretty looking rear double bicep. You know what I mean? It's not the type of rear double bicep that's going to take down the 5th place finishers. It does look like he's holding a lot of water in his erectors, lower back. You know, just not a pretty shot for me, in my opinion. But freaking muscles there, man. Tons and tons and tons of muscle there. Now, as we turn him around, you can see definitely there really wasn't much of an imbalance in his delts. You know, this is a pose he's going to have to fine-tune, not just in how it looks, but a pose he's just going to have to fine-tune in execution. All right, final shot here for Nathan DeAsha. You know, remember when I said he's got that really long torso, which probably means he's got high lats? Well, definitely you can see he's got high lats here. You know, man, the V-taper looks good if you can pull it off right, but dang, man, it's really hard to make those lats, Mr. Olympia lats, when you got like Phil Heath, bro, who's got no lower back. I mean, it's almost like nothing there. It's just all muscle, a wall of muscle, and you've got that big
space on Nathan here on that lower back, man, that needs to just be filled up with some muscle. You know, along with those high lats, man, you just got to bring them down to make it look like they're a lot wider than they are. Still, man, good rear delts popping off his back, freaking big, thick back. This guy, if he can fine-tune his physique to make it a little bit more classy looking, more aesthetic, you know, more pleasing to the eye, he's going to be a danger to the top 5 lineup. Moving on to 6th place, we have Mr. Rolly Winkler. Now, man, listen, you want to talk about a fan favorite? I'm a freaking fan of Rolly Winkler. And I tell you what, man, every freaking year, Rolly Winkler is making more and more and more improvements to his physique. Now, if you watch my previous videos from previous years, I've always said this man lacks a lot of definition and a lot of separation and sometimes conditioning to his physique. But look, man, look this year. Rolly is cut. He's dry. I mean, if you bear with me, I can see some striations in his shoulders, major separation in his arms. You can see, look how everything is so separated with his triceps, biceps, on his arms. He's finally got some separation in his legs. Now, he's always carried a decent amount of separation in the lower part of his quads, you know, like around the teardrop, outer area, outer sweep of his quads, but nothing higher than that. And as we go through these poses, you're going to see this man's got some freaking good separation now, higher and higher up his legs, which is great. This is a super good pose that really highlights the level of conditioning that he brought to the show this year. Now, as we look at the front double bicep here, you're probably wondering, Tim, man, why'd you pick all the pictures with this man's eyes are closed? Listen, every picture of Rolly out there, his eyes are closed. No matter what the pose is, bro, it looks like his eyes are closed. Now, my opinion, I will 100% with confidence tell you that Rolly Winkler has the best arms in the Mr. Olympia. Shape, size, peak, separation, roundness. Dude, he's got everything. Look at the separation. I see Rolly's got some good separation going here in the quads. Finally, freaking humongous legs. They just never get dry enough. You know, they're never ever dry enough compared to his upper body. It's freaking, it really kind of sucks for Rolly. You know, he's got a good torso, not too long, not too short, with a decent amount of V taper. You know, still for a wide kind of blocky set of abs. Love how veiny vascular his lats are. They pop right off his body. Great freaking pose, if not his best pose for Rolly. With this rear double bicep for Rolly, notoriously, I've always said this is his worst shot. Because he does have that long torso, he's got a lot of empty space there with those high lats, which are routinely just not dialed in, always holding water around his erectors. This, though, however, looks better than last year, but you can tell he's just a little more soft from the rear. Monster freaking delts and lats. Good traps and rhomboids. You know, a well-deserved placing, man. Last pose for your boy Rolly, rear lat spread. Perfect picture, man. You can almost see some what appears to be striations, you know, in a Christmas tree type formation in his lower back. Thickness galore, width galore, thick hammies. You can see how big his quads are. Calves are great. Even came in with some shredded glutes. I mean, dude, looks phenomenal, man. I mean, one of the best packages for Rolly this year. Honestly, though, man, I think he's got a long way to go before he's going to crack that top 3. Finally, we get into the top 5 with 5th place, none other, going to Sean Roden. Now, I know Sean's pissed. I know he's pissed, man. I'd be pissed. Listen, from having such high placings in the Mr. Olympia to getting 5th place, that's hard to deal with. Now, I can tell what Sean did here because, to me, honestly, I want you to hear me out now, okay? Because now we're getting with a fine-tooth comb over these competitors. I can see what he did here. He shrunk Okay, he lost the size. He didn't play that size game and really had to get with the same type of sharpness as Phil Heath, and that's what he did. He looked freaking phenomenal. Phenomenal. I honestly, in my opinion, I think this is one of the best packages that Shawn Rhoden has come to the Mr. Olympia with. Not as big, not as puffy, not as bloated, still full, but hard, bro. Hard. It just wasn't good enough because let me tell you, the 4th place, 3rd place, 2nd place, and 1st place finishers in this contest were just perfect. They were perfect, man, and he just, simply put, he really didn't have any weaknesses, man. It just wasn't good enough to beat the impeccable physiques that placed above him. But look, he came in harder, more conditioned, and lighter. Look at the feathering, striated quads, good separation. He came in tight. Now, I want you to look at something real quick, okay? Because usually that shoulder chest girdle, if you will, on Shawn Rhoden is never as hard and as tight as it is this year. Usually he plays that size game, tries to come in bubbly against Phil Heath and Kai, and he didn't do that this year. And this year he's a little more etched, a little more sharp, a little more detailed. You can see some vascularity, some graininess, even some striations, if you will, begin to form on his shoulder chest girdle. Waist is in. I know that was a key thing he was trying to hit this year. Looks freaking phenomenal this year. Let's take a look at this ab pose. Now, to me, as we go through the placings, I will say this ab pose is Mr. Olympia abs. I think these abs are better than Big Ramy's, and I think these abs are better than Phil Heath's abs. Bro, this man's got a, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pack, if you will. I mean, mild distension, you know, but the obliques, the serratus, the way his lats connect with everything, great shot for him. Full, feathered, striated quads. Calves even look sick this year. I mean, calves look the best I've seen them look this year. Full round, and they match his physique. Great freaking shot, and better than last year, 100%. Now, as we look at this rear double bicep with Shawn Rhoden, I mean, it's Mr. Olympia quality. I mean, that's a top 3 freaking rear double bicep. You cannot say it's not. I think this rear double bicep is better than Dexter Jackson. I think it's way better than William Bonac's. It completely competes with Big Ramy and Phil Heath. I mean, he's got great calves. He's got glutes that are striated, deep cuts in his glutes, hamstrings, quads look great. Lower back's not holding a lot of water. It's a phenomenal rear double bicep, man. This is a top 3 rear double bicep. Unfortunately, overall, he wasn't able to bring in a package that was better than Dexter Jackson and William Bonac and Big Ramy and, of course, Phil Heath. Last shot for Rhoden. I mean, can you see any flaws? I mean, I really don't see any flaws. Is this better than Ramy's? No. Is it better than, I mean, it's close to Ramy's. Is it better than Phil Heath? No. I mean, Phil Heath's, the rear lat sprint on Phil Heath is so freaking 3D. It's just, it's incomparable with Shawn Rhoden here. But, man, you know, sadly, just overall package, again, wasn't good enough. I think it's way better than Dexter Jackson and William Bonac's, tell you that. 4th place, former Mr. Olympia, Dexter Jackson. Now, boy, I tell you what, you know, back in the day, they used to give out a Most Muscular Award, Best Poser Award. Dude, you want to talk about Mr. Consistency Award? This definitely goes to freaking Dexter Jackson. I mean, talk about consistency. Now, I will say this again. Him and William Bonac are about the only dudes in the entire Mr. Olympia that have such thin skin and the most striations. Dude, striations in the Mr. Olympia contest, they're long and gone. Not many people have striations. This dude right here is Mr. Striated. The shape, the size, the roundness, just an overall insanely perfect physique minus the calves. I mean, I mean, let's just face it. I'm trying to keep it a hundo with you, I promise. Dexter Jackson has no calves. But, dude, everything else, dude, is freaking perfect. Back shot. But look at that. The vascularity, the way everything just flows together. It's classy. It's proportional. It's balanced. It's aesthetic. It's nasty, dry, hard, and freaking just a raw physique. Great shot. Best shot for Dexter Jackson. Front double bicep for Dexter Jackson. You know, great arms, man. Just a slight imbalance among the biceps there, as you can see. You can see his lower abs starting to pop out. And I already said that in the other Mr. Olympia videos that I've done over the years, that, you know, obviously Dexter's had to put on a ton of muscle to compete at this level. And in doing so, that's what happens. Usually your stomach starts popping out. But, I mean, I would love to see deeper separation on his legs. Listen, man, he's getting old. I mean, one of the first things to go with age is your legs. Just the size of your legs. Just it's hard to maintain that size. This man is about to be 50 here in the next few years, I'm sure. And, you know, it's still, though, at his age, what a phenomenal placing. What a great freaking job being able to hang in there with the big boys in a top 5 finish. I mean, abs look good, shredded. I mean, shredded and ripped to shreds. Obliques, great peak, great freaking pose for Dexter Jackson. So real quickly, I wanted to pull out a front lat spread by Dexter Jackson because I really want to show you what's going on here with the legs. You know, you can tell, man, his legs have just lost size. And that may have been a differentiator between him and third place. You know, the legs, they're just not as big and as separated and as detailed as they used to be, primarily looking at his teardrops and outer sweep. Now, you can tell the belly's coming out a little bit. Still, I mean, a good pose, man. Everything lays down perfect for him. You know, he's holding his own definitely with this pose. All right, turn this man around. Dang it. Now, look, you can see he's got no calves. I mean, holy smoke. There's just nothing there, bro. But back, definitely Mr. Olympia back. I mean, here's the thing, man. You know, his back does look good, bro. I mean, the traps pop right 3D like Phil Heath's right off his back. Wide, round, good torso. All his muscles just popping out. I mean, look at his rear delts just bubbling off his back. Triceps. He just doesn't have that size. You know what I mean? Now, this year was a little bit different, because you got Phil Heath, who is not the biggest Mr. Olympia. We all know that. We have William Bonac, who's really not humongous, in third place, and Dexter in fourth, who's really, again, not the biggest. So you kind of see a trend here with Mr. Olympia here, man, that maybe perhaps they're going for smaller physiques that are more detailed, more proportionate, and just better looking with better aesthetics. Good pose, man. Always been a really good pose for Dexter, especially, again, with those traps. Now, I would like to see a little bit more detail and dryness in the outer parts, you know, among his lats. But still, man, phenomenal pose. It's going to be very interesting as years go by. I mean, this man, I could see him in the next 5 Mr. Olympias still in the top 5. It's crazy. Your third place finisher, Mr. William Bonac. Now, looking at this pose right here, this most muscular, this, my friends, is a perfect physique. I could almost say right here, this physique comes as close as it gets to beating Phil Heath in this pose. He actually has a Phil Heath type physique. He's really short. All the muscles are crammed in, and they're not sloppy. They're crammed in, and they're freaking round, full, and aesthetic. Chest, shoulders, arms just pop out in straight fullness. Now, I do think his legs could be a lot bigger, all right, especially the teardrop, but dang, he's got the separation. He's got a super classy physique. I mean, he's definitely got the height going for him, bro, because all that muscle is stacked on his frame. But look at this pose, man. Just, can you really point out anything wrong with this man's pose? I mean, his calves aren't the biggest, but they're diamond shaped. He's got perfect shape from top to bottom. On top of the shape, on top of the perfect physique, He's conditioned. He's straight dialed in. Front lat spread here. And I mean, not much to say, man. Really not much to say at all. I mean, there's no flaws. Now, his obliques are thick. His obliques are really thick, and I think he could have pulled off a V taper a lot better, and would be a lot better looking if he just didn't have such thick freaking obliques. Other than that, man, I mean, let me just say this, though. You can tell he does have a weakness in his lats. Now, it's really hard for a lot of people to probably see that, and a lot of people are probably, dude, where are you seeing that from? Well, dude, I've seen this dude's physique for a few years now, and just even by this pose, you can tell just his lats don't pop out. They're not really thick, and really diminishes the front lat spread pose, if you will, because they're not really popped out in thickness. Just, I guess, to put it to you like this, his lats aren't very prominent in this front lat spread. All right, now, as you can see with this front double bicep, just to kind of piggyback off what I was saying, look at his waist. Look how thick his obliques are. Man, you know what? Like, if his lats were bigger, you know, and they were wider, and those obliques weren't so dang thick, he would literally have the perfect V taper. Great set of arms. He's got peak, he's got shape, triceps look phenomenal coupled with the biceps. Great legs, good shot for him, but man, just that midsection's not going to beat Phil Heath, in my opinion. As you can see with this rear double bicep here, you know, his back's not Mr. Olympia. Don't get mad at me. I mean, I think he's got muscle in all the right areas. Every muscle group is developed. His erectors, you can tell this man deadlifts a lot, which maybe is why his obliques are so dang wide. But, you know, he doesn't have wide lats. It's not a pretty looking rear double bicep because it's so scrunched in and it doesn't spread out wide like Phil Heath and some other competitors. Now, definitely has the height advantage going for him because look how thick his legs are. He's got shredded glutes, great glute development. You can see where they tie in into his hamstrings there. You know, just I don't think it's going to beat Mr. Olympia, Phil Heath. Final shot here, rear lat spread for William Bonac. I mean, dude, I want to interject this. I mean, dude, this dude has gone up the ranks. Definitely a fan favorite because he's got a freaking perfect, classy physique. But this back, it just... here's the thing, man. Listen, this guy, he brings in a back, and he can 100% take the title from Phil Heath. 100%. I have no doubt in my mind. This man brings in the exact Mr. Olympia back. Dude, he could take it from Phil Heath. This is going to be very interesting next year because he is going to be a sick major threat to Phil Heath. Okay, man, let's do this. Let's get into the meat and potatoes here. Second place, Big Ramy. Now, this dude has got improvements every single year. Every year, and I think I've said this in my other videos, that I knew he was just going to go up and up and up in placings until finally he was going to get second place, and possibly, quite possibly, he might take first place, Mr. Olympia. He's not stupid, man. He's smart. He's got all these guys beat in size. He's got Bonac beat. He's got Phil Heath beat. He's got Dexter Jackson and Roden all beat in size. Take that out of the equation. Listen, all this man really needs to do is keep that waist tight. Obviously, bring better conditioning because, you know, he's not consistent with the conditioning. He comes in smooth a little bit, or certain areas of his physique are holding water, and he's not really separated because he's always playing the size game. Now, this is a little bit different. We have no Kai Green. We've got no Dennis Wolf. And really, man, to be honest with you, this is the dude that could have possibly taken down Phil Heath. Look at these legs. This is a glaring, just negative on his physique. His legs are so dang big. Now, I think it's great. They match his upper body. You can't say they don't match his upper body. It'd be different if he had a major imbalance here with proportions and he had a small upper body and big legs. No, his legs are huge and so is his upper body. But they're so freaking big. He's missing that deep separation. You know what I mean? Like, they're so big, they're so wide that they just look like one big leg. You know what I mean? Like one big quad, if you will. However, I will say this year he came down in size. He kept that waist in. That's a key factor in beating Phil Heath. And he's conditioned, man. He's dry, he's grainy, he's hard, and he's more detailed and more sharp this year. Now, some poses, you know, keep in mind, you got two different times where you're looking at these guys. You got a day show, night show, one day, another day. I mean, I don't like the way they do that. You know, how they separate the times so far out. And, you know, with Ramy, he came in better on the night show, in my opinion, because in prejudging, I felt like he was smooth in a lot of areas. But, I mean, look at this physique, man. He's got, you know, I don't think you realize how much this dude weighs and how big this dude is. And to have such a balanced, symmetrical, listen to that word, symmetrical physique, it's quite a thing, man, to accomplish. And he looks great, man. With this pose right here, it's definitely giving Phil a run for his money. Front lat spread here. Again, man, I don't like the way his legs look. I don't think his legs compare. I mean, obviously, size-wise, they look better than last year. I will say that. They're more defined, a little bit more separation there in detail, but I don't think they compare depth-wise, quality-wise with Phil Heath. He's got a good torso here, thick, round, full muscles. You know, I think in a lot of areas, you know, I'd like to see a little bit more striation. And if this brother came in striated up top, I don't know, man. It could have, the pendulum could have swung in his favor to win Mr. Olympia. Now, let's take a look at the front double bicep, bro. I mean, perfect pose. Lats just absolutely flare out with super thick serratus. Obliques are tight. They're shredded. I wish I could see his abs. You know what I mean? I know that sounds really stupid, but you know, like each individual ab muscle in the shot, I would like to see pop out and see those differences. Again, the legs look better than last year, a little bit more definition and separation, but not quite up to Phil Heath's legs. Still, man, look how you can tell how thick his arms there are. They look good. He's got peak, but just the thickness is so prevalent right here in this pose. I also want to say one other thing. As you see Ramy going through these poses, you can see he's executing the poses better. And I want to say, really facial wise, you know what I mean? I know that might sound dumb, that might sound corny, but he just looks more confident. And if you look at the way Phil Heath is posing this year, he didn't look as confident with a lot of his poses. And I think as a judge, when you see someone's face, they're smiling like he's doing right here, you know, it definitely lends to a little bit. You know, the judges see, wow, this guy is definitely confident about his physique. And that could help you score higher as far as presentation is concerned. All right, guys, now we have a rear double bicep. This is first place Mr. Olympia rear double bicep. I mean, the freaking quads just pop so far off his body. He's tight in the glutes, you know what I mean? Got shredded glutes, lean glutes, good calves. You know, the shape of his back, just phenomenal, man. I mean, it's just, he's got great shape. You look at some other guys like Rolly that have so much muscle, looks nowhere near as good as Big Ramy's rear double bicep. Now, maybe a little bit of water holding in his lower back, but you can see the thickness. You can see all the muscle groups are laid out totally proportionate. Perfect shot, man. I mean, it's so freaking thick in this shot. It's crazy, especially being taller than Phil Heath to be able to pull this off. I honestly, man, it's really close, but I almost want to say he beat Phil Heath in this rear double bicep. Now listen, this is going to be the last pose I'm going to do, individual pose for Big Ramy, because we're going to go into some quick comparisons between him and Phil Heath side by side. Now, this man's got the widest lats in the game. Wide. Look how wide these lats are. Now, a lot of times you see guys with wide lats, that have high lats, but this guy's got lower lats, upper lats, wide lats, and they're not just wide, they're thick. You do see a lot of guys with wide lats that are just, they're skimpy. They're not thick. This dude's lats are absolutely thick as crap. His rhomboids are so freaking thick that they flow right into his traps. They just pop off his back. Is such a thick back. Now, I don't want to say too much because we're going to do some comparisons with Phil Heath. Now, I will point out in the comparisons some big differentiators, mainly the distinction between muscle groups on his back. But, dude, this is Mr. Olympia back right here. It looks like a massive freaking stingray in this pose. Traps are phenomenal. Rear deltoids here, rhomboids, the teres minor, major, just great lat spread, man. This is a freaking Mr. Olympia killer pose right here for him. And Mr. Phil Heath here, your reigning Mr. Olympia champion. I believe this is the 7th Mr. Olympia title for Phil Heath. Now, let's start off. We're going to go through these because we're also going to do some comparisons with him and Big Ramy. Look at this pose. Obviously, glaring issue with this belly button man, which is just popping out due to the distension. You know, it's definitely the most distended I have seen with Phil Heath. But again, I'm going to say he does have it under control. At least he's able to have it under control through these poses. Phil Heath, man, you know, other than his abs this year, bro, it's really hard to point a flaw out. He just looks good, man. He's so polished. I mean, he looks so statuette. You know what I mean? Compared to Ramy, compared to a lot of other guys. I tell you what, though, again, William Bonac competes very closely with this. He's got that same similar type of physique because they're both shorter and they both have small bone structures. But look at Phil Heath, man. Delts are massive. They're round. Everything's separated. Now, you want to talk about round, the delts, chest. Look at that roundness. You can see the difference between upper pectoral and lower pectoral with Phil Heath. Look at that insertion point in his chest. Ramy does not have that. A lot of competitors don't have that. A lot of competitors, you can't really see that big distinction between capped, delt, and arm. And you can see some really fine, distinct lines between the two on Phil Heath. Legs look good. There's no weaknesses in his legs. They're fully developed in every single area. Adductors are thick and filled out. He's full. He's round. Very confident shot. He knows this is a game-winning pose for him. Front lat spread for Mr. Phil Heath here. Now, I think he's looked better in other years. I think last year he pulled this off a way better. I think his chest was like harder. You know what I mean? A little more granite looking, tighter. Still, man, because of how narrow he is, bro, his chest just pops out. It literally, I'm gonna use this word. It balloons out in such roundness. It's really such an incredible advantage. And the size of his triceps and delts lay down. They smash down perfectly in this pose. The lats are out, very dominant in this pose. I'd like to see his abs look a little better. He's got everything, man. He's got calves. He's got the full complete package with not a lot of weaknesses in this pose. Somebody said this was a weak pose for Phil Heath. I don't know what they're smoking. This is not a weak pose for Phil Heath. No one's as round as Phil Heath in this freaking pose. Taking a look here at this ab shot, man, that belly button, he's gonna have to get surgery on that, bro, 100%. But like I said, man, he is able to control the abs. I've seen some guys with some distended stomachs. They couldn't control it. They couldn't do a pose like this. Abs would be flopped out like a big bubble. And you know, it's not quite distended right here. He's able to absolutely control it. I mean, he's got tons of ab meat on there as well. I think his obliques are more fine-tuned, shredded, better looking than Ramy. Legs are just full as crap, vascular and dry. Really hard for a pro bodybuilder to get their adductors, those inner thighs, dry. His are dry. There's veins all over the place. They're crisp and sharp. Just a good pose for him. Not the best I've seen, though, I'll be honest. Front double bicep here, Phil Heath. Listen, man, this dude looks like a statue right here. Looks like a statue. Biceps just pop right off his arms. He's got peak. He's got no imbalances. Again, he's able to control those abs. Look way better than Ramy's, in my opinion, because you can actually see some ab muscle. Obliques, lats, V-taper. I mean, just looks chiseled. Literally looks like a freaking statue right here. Moving on to the rear lat spread for Phil Heath. Now, look at this back. You're going to see a lot of people, and you have seen a lot of people in this contest that have a really big back. But nobody in this show has traps that look separate from the rhomboids, and traps and rhomboids separate from the lats and every other part of their back. Look at it. It's so defined. It's so distinct. It's so 3D from every other competitor. It makes it almost impossible to beat Phil in a rear lat spread. He's got a look to his back like none other. He's got a short torso, no space in between his lower lats and his tailbone. Glutes are shredded, perfect conditioning. This is the literal first place Mr. Olympia rear lat spread. You can't deny it. Last pose here, Mr. Olympia Phil Heath. You know, obviously legs look good proportion between hamstrings, calves, and glutes and quads. You know, for some reason, this pose doesn't look as good to me as prior years. However, can you point out one? I want you to do me a favor. You tell me right now. Right now, man. Do me a favor. You go in the comments. Let me know if you see one flaw on this pose with Phil Heath. There's no flaws. There's literally not one flaw in this man.
The moment you've been waiting for. Let's put these two guys side by side. Big Ramy versus the reigning Mr. Olympia, Phil Heath. We're gonna look at every pose, okay? Every major pose we are gonna look at, and I want you guys to be the judge. You guys look. You guys tell me who you think should have won. Or in the comments, let me know not only who you think should have won, but who won each and every pose. It's a tough call, man. Again, I don't want to be the guy who says he should have won or he should have won as a Mr. Olympia judge. I'll put it in your hands and you guys tell me.
So guys, listen, we're going to do these comparisons between the reigning Mr. Olympia, Phil Heath, and second place finisher or runner-up, Big Ramy. Now, let's start with this pose. Now, I'm going to ask you, here's the thing. I don't want to sit here and tell you who I think should have won. I want to just basically present these pictures to you, and you tell me who should have won. Now, I will say this. Obviously, Phil Heath has a glaring negative on his body, and that's his gut, right? Now, he did control it. Even though it was distended, a little bubble-like, if you will, he at least was able to control it. And unfortunately, I don't know what happened to his belly buttons. I don't know, through the distension process, his belly button was popping out. It was a little weird. But I want you to keep in mind, okay, the belly is not going to be that thing in which takes his title away, okay? Because there's, obviously, you know this, you're smart. There's a lot of other factors and bullet points that go in to determining who's going to be Mr. Olympia. Now, I want you to look at this pose. I want you to look very carefully, okay? We're going to go pose by pose. Now, look at the legs. The legs, it's a really big difference between the legs. Obviously, size-wise, Ramy's got the legs, but who do you think has better quality Mr. Olympia legs? Look at the separation. Look at the distinction between muscle groups. Okay, on Ramy, I just see teardrops and outer sweep, okay? I'm seeing everything on Phil Heath. And now, again, this is just my editorial, just my 2 cents. Look at the shape of Phil Heath. Now we're also, I want you to understand, now, Ramy's got a great-looking physique, but look at Phil Heath. Look at the way everything is so, like, 3D looking. Ramy's very wide. His chest is very wide. His delts, everything's very wide. But as far as aesthetically pleasing to your eye, I want you to just be honest. I want you to put in the comments what you think. Look at the separation between delts and arms. Look at the chest. Look at the traps. Look at everything here. What looks better to you? What, in your eyes, what looks like Mr. Olympia with this hands on hip most muscular pose? You tell me. Now, that first picture was from rxmuscle.com. This one, we're going to go into some Team Andro pictures because I think that's some better comparison shots. Now, here, I think these shots are a lot better. Whoever took this picture, Matthias Busi, he did a great job really capturing the moment. Obviously, again, you're going to see here that Big Ramy really dwarfs Phil Heath. But even as so much smaller Phil Heath is, he's always able to offer the illusion that he's just as big or bigger. You know, they both have ugly abs. I don't give a crap. Look, listen, I mean, look at Big Ramy. His abs, they don't look good to me. They're just so blocky. There's no V-taper. They just go straight down. Phil Heath, at least his obliques look so much better than Ramy's, but you can actually see some ab, but of course, they're distended. You've got a what have you not popping out of his belly button there. In this pose, you know, Ramy's legs look a little bit better. They're still just huge and lack that kind of good look to them, if you will, for a lack of better words, truly. Arms, you know, take a look at these arms. Who's got great peak here? You know, I like the way Phil Heath's lats look compared to Big Ramy. You know, still, I mean, I'm not going to it could go either way still up to this point, though. I'll be honest with you. But take a look here. Remember when I was telling you that Phil Heath, it looked like he wasn't executing his poses real well? And you see that face he's making right there? I see that in a lot of poses this year with him. Just not smiling, trying as hard as he can to compete. I think Ramy did a really good job smiling, keeping calm, collected, and cool posture and disposition while flexing, which is not easy at all. So this one, it's up for grabs, but take a look. Let me know what you think about this pose. I wanted to throw this one in there real quick because they're just relaxed, just to kind of give you a good look at, you know, how they look when they're not flexing, if you will. I mean, they are kind of flexing. You know, they call this the relaxed pose. But look at one thing I'm going to point out is I'm always seeing in all these videos how narrow Phil Heath is and how he's just got such a small bone structure. You can see right here. I mean, look, look at just how narrow he is. He's really kind of a small dude structure-wise. Very, very narrow dude. Now, Ramy looks really good here. Really, really good here. Phil's legs look thicker for some reason. I mean, I didn't cut and paste these. I mean, this is literally how the picture looks, but I don't know. They just look a little more denser to me. I know that's not really the case because Ramy's got bigger legs, but look at this pose, man. It's actually kind of interesting, man. I mean, Ramy looks freaking great. He looks like second place Mr. Olympia, if not Mr. Olympia. All right, we got a front lat spread here. You be the judge. Now, does Ramy look a little soft up top a little bit? I don't know. I can tell you, you know, I don't know. I feel like Phil Heath's hanging in there leg-wise in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Really, truly. You know, Phil, obviously, it's a good pose for him because he's so narrow. It's making his chest look that much more bubbly. I mean, that belly button, he's got to get that fixed tremendously. But I don't know, man. You can't. I know all these people are, oh, Ramy's got ripped off, but you can't sit here and say, oh, Ramy destroyed him. I don't think he destroyed him, man. Look at Phil's arms compared to Ramy's arms. Look at his shoulders. He looks even a little drier and more vascular and tighter than Ramy in the shoulder girdle area. All right, so this picture right here is one I put together because I didn't think either site had like really good comparison shots. So I just kind of photoshopped these guys in there. I didn't alter their physiques at all. I just kind of cut and paste so you can put them side by side. Now, look at this ab shot. Again, I'm going to keep saying it. You be the judge. You know, obviously, to me, man, I mean, Phil Heath's got way better legs. Just Ramy's legs just look too blurry to me. Too blurry to me, man. You know, as distended as Phil Heath's stomach was, and again, it wasn't freaking like over the top. He controlled it. He did control it. Obliques look a little better. Looks a little thinner to me, a little more V-taper to me. also consider he is a smaller guy. But Ramy's lats are freaking just sick. Way bigger lats than Phil Heath in his shot. Good pose for both of them, though, you know. All right, here's another shot from Team Andro. Kind of a relaxed pose. I thought this is quite interesting, you know. Phil really's got such an impressive back. I mean, Ramy's got a big freaking back. Don't get me wrong, but as we go, what I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to do a lat spread. I typically do a rear double bicep first. We're going to go to lat spread. I'm going to just show you kind of some key differences between Phil Heath and Ramy as we go through this. But this just gives you a really good look at two big backs, and Ramy's being bigger. But, you know, just how Phil competes quality-wise. You know, it just already looks way more symmetrical, way more 3Ds. Traps almost like they just pop right off his back. Rhomboids pop right off his back. Lats are just hanging on there. You can see where they're swooping into a Christmas shape. A little bit different than Ramy. You know what I mean? Ramy's got more size. You can see in the legs. You know, you can see maybe perhaps in the thickness. But I just think quality-wise, even just in a relaxed pose, Phil's got him on this. All right, so here is that rear lat spread as promised. You know, we're not really going to go from the waist down. I think maybe, you know, Phil was a little bit tighter in the glutes. I mean, who cares? I mean, just to be honest with you, it's not a freaking game changer, all right? But you look from the waist up, you can just, I mean, Ramy's got a great pose. He's so freaking wide. Like I said, he's like a stingray, just so freaking thick. Lower lats that just drag down, round, full. I think maybe, you know, what the judges were looking for in this pose is that Phil's back is just ultra dimensional. It's dynamic. If you look at the minor terrace, the major terrace, just it's so different than Ramy. Traps again, rhomboids popping out. You know, I don't know. This is a hard call because, you know, it's not like it's not like Ramy's back's chopped liver, bro. It's a freaking sick back pose for Ramy. But, you know, this is kind of how Phil Heath, you know, paid his bills, bro. This is bread and butter. It's just being so freaking 3D with all his shots. All right, now here in the rear double bicep, I will definitely say Big Ramy beat Phil Heath in this shot. Definitely beat Phil Heath. You know, Phil Heath doesn't have much of a lower back. He doesn't. He's so genetically blessed, man. Like, this dude is, like, built for bodybuilding, literally. But one thing I don't like about this pose, you can't really see the thickness on Phil Heath's lower back. And when you look at Ramy, who's dwarfing him, not in height, just in height, but delts and just dwarfs him in this pose. Really, man. Legs, everything, glutes. But that thickness in Ramy's lower back, you know, it's a key game changer compared to Phil Heath. Man, Phil Heath can't really see what he's got down there. You know, it's like all scrunched in, overshadowed by the way he's posing. And Ramy, you can tell, man, like his freaking shoulders flow down to his lats, all the way down to his erectors, which are literally popping off his body. Shows a lot of that hard work, shows a lot of that thickness, and just a sense of true mass on his back. Guys, this is my final comparison shot with these guys. Now, I don't know why anyone would say that this is a bad shot for Phil Heath. Now, this year, it's not the best because his abs are out. Now, I also want to point out again, look at this man's ab muscle. There is a lot of muscle sitting there, so obviously that's going to lend to some distension. But yeah, this is the most distended I have seen Phil Heath's abs. Keep in mind, I don't think Phil Heath's worried about anybody else except Ramy, and was probably trying to play a little of the size game, and in doing so, his stomach went out. But no one can tell me this is a poor shot minus the abs for Phil Heath, bro. He's dense as crap. He's thick as crap. He's wide. Everything just freaking pops far away from his body. Good shot for Ramy, man. Obviously, legs are a little bit bigger now. I saw a couple pictures where Phil was in a side chest pose, a true side chest pose, not so much as what he's doing now. And I think he was in a weird position. His legs weren't quite like positioned yet, and they took the picture. Here's a true picture of what his legs look like compared to Big Ramy. You know, they both have some good shape to them. Obviously, you're talking about the two best bodybuilders in the world, so the glute hamstring tie-in is insane. If you look at Ramy's, they just freaking drape down there. Here's where you can actually see some definition and separation in Ramy, but Ramy's thick as crap. There's no flaws here. He looks good, doesn't look crappy at all. You know, this is a tough decision, man. Very, very tough decision, especially putting Ramy up against one of Phil's signature poses. What do you guys think? You tell me.
There you have it, guys. I'm going to give you some final thoughts in closing as I wrap up this 2017 Mr. Olympia recap and review. One more time, very thankful for rxmuscle.com and team-andrew.com for the use of their pictures to help me with this editorial and commentary. Here are my final thoughts. Last year, dude, I thought no one was going to beat Phil Heath. He was freaking unbeatable. There was no Kai Green, no Dennis Wolf. Dude, he just waltzed in that thing and, in my opinion, smoked everybody. Nobody was close. Phil Heath, Haney Rambon, his coach, they're very smart, they're very wise, they have a formula, they have a program, they have a plan of action that works every single year. Last year, he freaking brought it. This year, my mind has changed with the package he brought this year. A lot because of that distended stomach, and a lot because I don't think he brought the package he did last year, and I 1000% saw Phil Heath being very beatable, and that was by Big Ramy. That was such a freaking close call. If Ramy next year can perhaps find Phil Heath slipping, your next Mr. Olympia could be Big Ramy. Big Ramy brought his best physique to date. Best physique, man. I could see why there's thousands and maybe tens of thousands of people right now probably saying Big Ramy got robbed, because it was that freaking close. It was that close. He was smart, he came in smaller, he kept his waist in, he brought more definition, more separation, more hardness, more conditioning, more dryness. He's got the bounce, he's got the proportion. He doesn't have really any weaknesses whatsoever, minus his calves aren't as big, they don't match his upper body, but freaking, I mean, come on. You know what I mean? His glutes weren't freaking shredded as Phil Heath, but those are such minute little things. I will say this again. Next year, Phil Heath better freaking bring the 2016 package and better, or Big Ramy is going to take that crap. He's going to freaking take that crap. One of the sick things is Big Ramy this year coming up, 2018 Mr. Olympia, he knows exactly what to do. Look, you got William Bonac, you got Dexter Jackson, and you got Phil Heath all surrounding Big Ramy, and those guys are way smaller. Big Ramy does not have to worry about size. That whole big, massive puzzle piece is out of the equation. He smokes them on size. Now he's got to bring a eye-pleasing, classy physique to the table with all the conditioning and all the dryness dialed in to take the Mr. Olympia competition. And what can you say? Big Ramy is bringing improvements every single freaking year, and it could really be just a matter of time. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I will see you next year at the 2018 Mr. Olympia recap. And don't forget to subscribe. Tune into all my videos here on YouTube. Get plugged into my social media. And of course, check out my pre-workout and line of products, Spasmatic Supplements.